Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name is Megan. If you're new, this is Rose Moon Healing. I'm an intuitive and I channel messages for Starseeds, Twin Flames, and the general spiritual collective. Oh, wow, I'm really excited to share some of the things that have been coming through for me with you today. Wow, language. It's weird. I have this resurgence of creative inspiration and energy that kind of kicked on for me yesterday. And I know the Mars moving into Leo might have something to do with it. I think another transit is this Saturn conjunct Uranus that's been occurring. And for me, I kind of decided that Uranus was going to win. In that transit within me and my life and how that's showing up. I'm not going to go too much into the astrology because I'm not an astrologer. I just pay attention for my own growth and my own self to kind of know what's going on. But if you're interested in that, I would Google the Saturn conjunct Uranus because it's apparently like one of the biggest transits occurring for us this year. So it's a pretty big deal. But that all being said, I am going to do a card reading. We'll see how we go with that because I really want to share with you some of the downloads that have come through for me yesterday, before we dive into kind of card reading. So yeah, and I took notes as I do to keep me on track. So one of the things that's been coming up for me is, and this has been my hesitation around kind of card readings and checking in and learning what's going on, is that when we're connecting with our twin journey through the mind, through the cards, through the, okay, what's going on? Okay, how can I improve this? What do they need to improve? How are we working towards union? It's beautiful because it's growth and it's healing, but it's very mind-centered. It's very in the head, right? And mind is important. We use mind as a tool. But I was feeling this lack of connection and emotional connection that I had at the beginning of this journey. And maybe many of you can relate to this. When you first kind of learn that this person is your twin and all those downloads are fresh and they're all coming through and it's all brand new, you really start connecting with them in the 5D. You really start feeling this unconditional love and gratitude for the whole journey. Yes, you purge. Yes, there's pain. Yes, there's difficulty. There's a lot of that. But overall, it's this very focused emotionality and love that you start to feel. And, you know, there's also a bit of that period where we do get into delusion. And I feel like delusion is a necessary step on the journey where you're in a little bit of delusion around, you know, I'm not going to go into that energy. Actually, I don't even want to, but I think you'll know where you're really feeling like they must be feeling the same way. This must be going, you know, it must all be in harmony. And then you kind of learn, oh no, they're not awake yet. They haven't figured this out yet. You're alone in this, right? And then it kind of sets you on this other path of the journey. Where I feel that we have been, at least myself personally, and I'm sure I can speak for some of you in this collective, is we've been a little bit detached from the soul of this person, which is our soul, essentially, yeah? So we've been a little detached from the emotionality. And part of that is necessary, you know, this Queen of Swords energy. We need to detach, we need to let go. But there's also this point of, if you're going to go in and connect and you want to connect with this person, you want to connect with this journey, everything that you have learned, connect from the heart. And that is through, you know, the 5D space. So if you are not feeling, and this is whether you're in union or not, if what you're seeing in the 3D doesn't feel good and you feel like it doesn't quite reflect the strength of this connection, the truth of this connection, the beauty of this connection, then tune into your higher self and theirs in the 5D and start creating from that place. You know, there's lots of ideas around life, and that life is kind of a game if you learn how to play it right, right? These spiritual concepts. And these were some of the downloads I was getting, is that it is a simulation. You know, my guides were showing me a board game, and they were saying, you know, you're on a board game, and there's certain players that you're playing with, and there's a board that you're playing, and here's kind of the steps, and here's what comes up. And they were so compassionately and lovingly, but also so kind of like hello, how can you not see this? They were like, Megan, if you don't like the game you're playing, move to a different board. Find new players to play with if you don't like this game. So it's this idea of a simulation. If you are in pain around your journey, and again, whether you're in union or not, if things are not going the way that you had hoped or desired, if there's like a failure to launch sort of energy in your communication. Maybe you were in communication and then you fell out again. Maybe you are coming into union, but it's just not feeling quite the way you want. And if it is, beautiful, do not make this fit. If it is, if it's going well, many blessings to you. But for those of us who feel like, even in your life, whatever's going on, your relationships, your 3D reality, your job, your kids, your ex-partners, whatever's coming at you right now, if you don't like it, choose a new reality. And I know that's so much easier said than done. And I know that can get very heady and very complicated. So I did a reading for myself around this, and I'm going to share some of those messages that came through, because I was truly in this very humbled state of like, Spirit, okay, thank you for that download. Because I actually got this download maybe even like not quite a year ago, but during this year. Actually, maybe it was last year. What is time? And it's taken me a while to integrate it and really understand it. There's been times where I felt really strong and like, okay, yeah, I'm choosing my reality. I'm choosing a new simulation. I don't like this board. I don't like the players. And then sometimes I feel very powerless and like, how do I do that? And I'm not even going to try. It makes my brain hurt, right? So, we go through as humans these periods, these ebbs and flows of feeling like we really are a co-creator and we are very empowered, and then periods of feeling quite the opposite. So I was asking Spirit, like, show me how do I switch? How do I create a new simulation if I don't like what is occurring? And it's as simple as speaking it, having that intention. And also I do want to put a caveat here, because we're not really talking about manifestation, but if the board that you're wanting to play is not in alignment with Spirit, you can still make it happen, but it's going to be a lot more difficult. And as twins, we're not really meant to go against the flow. And that's kind of, I shared that a while back around manifestation in twins or starseeds, like those that come with very, very specific missions. Because you can see people, and I'm going to digress quite a bit on this, I can already feel it. So you can see people out in the world who you're like, they're kind of an asshole, but they have so much. They've created so much for themselves, whatever. We don't really know what's going on internally. We don't know how happy they actually are, but we can see that in their simulation, they're wealthy, they're abundant. They have lots of people around them. They have the kids and the picket fence and whatever, right? So they've potentially been able to create something that wasn't quite their mission and wasn't quite what Spirit had intended for them, at least not in the inner realms, but they were able to do it. And so you like, I just want to acknowledge that yes, you can 100% go against your divine path. You 100% can, and you can create things from it. I'm not going to call them successful. They may look successful to a 3D lens, but we know that there's a lot of deception and illusion and kind of that devil energy within that. And that's oftentimes where we see these people that have it all and then they choose to end their life, or, these people who seem to have like everything that a human could possibly want, but they're so miserable and unhappy. And that is a sign of going against the Spirit flow of like what is meant. And that's something that the masculines have been contending with, is realizing that the lot that they've created is not actually what they want. They went against it for a long time without having the consciousness or awareness. We do the best we can with what we know in each now moment. And sometimes we have to create what we don't want in order to know what we do want. And so as feminines, we've had that as well. I've created I feel like I've lived multiple lifetimes in this one lifetime, and I've created so many things that were not the Spirit guided path, but I didn't know it until I knew it, right? You don't know it until you know it. So I just wanted to give that little caveat. So you can actually create something, and you can create a simulation. You can be on a board game, and you can be with these players that weren't actually meant for you. But that path is usually a lot harder and a lot less rewarding. When you're in the flow and when you're ready to create something that is spirit guided and spirit aligned, you're going to find the synchronicities, you're going to see the messages, you're going to really feel internally that energy of, this is correct. Yeah. And it doesn't mean it's easy. It doesn't mean it's always the easier. It can very well be the more difficult. And again, I keep feeling the masculine's energy come through. That's something that they're working through, is like, okay, so this connection is for me. Why does it feel so hard? I thought it was supposed to be easy. I thought if it was easy, that meant it was right. Not always the case. So back to this reading. So I was like, how can I create a new simulation in my life, in this experience that I'm having right now, on my twin flame journey, in my 3D life, in my business? How can I shift things, Spirit? What do I do? And so there's a deeper awareness of the illusion of separation that I need to carry with me at all times. This is what Spirit said. I need to have a higher perspective at all times about the illusion of separation. We know this, but it needs to be embodied. It can't live in the mind. It has to be in my cells. It has to be in my action. So every action that I take, from the moment that I wake up in the morning to the moment that I go to bed, even when I'm dreaming, there has to be this awareness of separation is an illusion. Separation from my goals, separation from my unconditional love, separation from my counterpart, separation from my family, my friends, from God, from source. Separation in general is an illusion. And I have to be in constant harmony with that truth. The message that also came through is, you're not broken. So there's this, and your twin is not broken. So it's this forgiveness piece. It's kind of that idea that I said, like, you only know, everyone's doing the best they can with the information that they have in every moment. So there's this unconscious thing that comes up in these journeys because we're in this, and on any spiritual path, I will say, because it's like self-growth, self-development. I want to be better. I want to grow. I want to evolve. So then we can constantly be in this analysis and kind of fishbowl energy of ourselves, of like, what can be fixed, what can be tweaked, what can be better. And what that is perpetrating, I don't think that's the right word. What that is creating is a simulation that you are broken, that there's something wrong with you, that there's something wrong with your twin. Maybe you are a little bit better about it with yourself, because you're like, I've learned, I've awakened. But then when it comes to your counterpart, you keep viewing them as broken, viewing them as they need to get it together, viewing them as like, I can't believe they keep doing this dance with this karmic situation. I can't believe they keep falling. Because then you're perpetuating and you're creating this board that you're playing, they're broken, and you're sending out that energy out into the universe. So you are not broken. They are not broken. We are not broken. We are whole. We are divine. And then it brings us to this idea. We are one. We are God's source. We are in union already, always. I know we hear that. We hear it in the mind, but we have to really understand it in the body. We have to really understand it in that somatic way, in the somatic experiential learning in our lives. Yeah. So, we are God's source. We are in union already. I got the Magician and I got the Five of Wands. So we have to start to learn to view obstacles and challenges as gifts and divine helpers, as literally little gifts from our guides, little gifts. Thank you for throwing me this challenge. Thank you for throwing me this person that's coming at me. Thank you for this dark energy. Thank you for all of it, because it's actually working within the divine plan all along. There's this concept of, if you've ever tried to be in a completely dark room, the light always gets in. So let's just sit for a second with you. It's really hard to maintain absolute darkness. It's really hard to create 100% darkness. It just is. The light always creeps in. The light always wants to come in. The light always wins. The light is always here. Always, even in the darkest of rooms, the darkest of days. So it's this idea of, what if it's all working in harmony? And granted, you can choose a simulation. You can choose a board where it's not working in harmony, where it's dark, where it's like good versus evil, right? Where it's like this constant battle, it's conflicts, this person's out to get me, this person's unsafe, this person, fear, 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 fear. You can choose that. You can absolutely choose that, and that's a very valid board. And we can see that out in the world. We can see that in the collective. That's real, right? That's real. But you can also choose one where it's everything is actually working in harmony, where this Five of Wands energy, this conflict, this turmoil, this outer whatever is actually like a gift, and it's actually this energy that's moving you closer and closer to your God self, to your union, to your truth, to your destiny. So when we're in that awareness as the magician, and we're creating this and we're calling this in, we're changing our board. We're changing the players that come to us. We're actually changing everything. Beacons of life too. This is an interesting note that I wrote down. We need to view everything through the eyes of God. We are mending through challenge. We are mending this illusion of brokenness through challenge. Beacons of light to raise our vibration into ascension. So these challenges are little beacons of light. They're ready to be transmuted into light. Okay, beautiful. Second message. Inward reflection and meditation brings forward union through commanding it forward. So did I write down the cards I got? Yeah, so I got the Emperor as the authority. And the Emperor is someone who commands. He doesn't ask. He doesn't plead. He doesn't beg. He commands. And when he's in balance and he's in harmony and he's in the light, he does it from a place of gratitude and reverence and truth, right? Distorted Emperor can be kind of like forceful and, the icky stuff. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about standing in our truth and in our root and commanding it forward. So I got the Four of Swords, inward contemplation, reflection, stillness. Through this stillness, through this meditation, through this inward gaze, that is how we command and call forward what we are calling forward. New players, a new board, creating it literally moment by moment with the divine. So it's really, wow, that's so funny. I just got Claim Your Confidence. I'm a part of the Pattern, that app if you're familiar. And as I'm reading, as I'm going through my notes, a message just came through from the Pattern that said, claim your confidence. So it's exactly what I'm talking about. I love when that happens. So claim this victory, claim this simulation, claim this new reality right now, today, in every moment, and do it through these messages. Do it this is the practice. This is how you do it. Claiming this victory as the Emperor, commanding it forward. So command your union forward, command your masculine's awakening, command them home to you, command. And it's not from a place of force, because this is divine. That's what I'm saying. When we are working with the divine, in harmony with the divine and what the divine wants for us, the divine is really just waiting for us to command it, to not plead and beg and ask, because when we're in that energy, we're creating more of it's not real, it's not coming, it can't happen. This is kind of, some of these laws are in tandem with like Abraham Hicks, right? So it's this idea of like, when we're constantly asking for more money, we're constantly sending the message that we don't have enough money. But if we're coming from a place of thank you for everything I have, I'm so abundant, I feel so wealthy, that's how more comes. So in our unions, it's like, I feel so loved, I feel so powerful, I feel so strong, I feel like I'm in such harmony. And then in tandem with connecting in the 5D, holding that Six of Cups energy in your heart, connecting through the heart, through the body, through the emotion, that's how we change our board, that's how we change our simulation. Oh, it's so funny that I brought up the Six of Cups, because that was part of the next message. So holding the frequency of home, memories of love, our truth. Okay, so holding the memories of love as truth alongside your everyday movements. So what that means is being in this place of truth and knowing. Like children don't need to be convinced of things. Like once they know something, like I love this movie, I love butterflies. They're never like, well, maybe I don't love a butterfly because they're not always yellow, and yellow is my favorite color. They don't start to question and get in their head about that shit. They don't. They just accept I love butterflies until one day, for whatever reason, they decide, you know what? I love tigers, and I don't love that butterfly as much as I did. Still love the butterfly, but it's not the tiger. Okay? It's a surety, it's a knowing, it's a truth, and that's something that we lose as adults. We get in our head. I've had countless conversations with my masculine about this. And his argument was like, you're not supposed to be sure, you're not supposed to know, you're always supposed to hold the balance, and that's a spiritual practice in and of itself. But, and I don't mean to like call him out, but that was a form of spiritual bypass that he was in, is the avoidance of claiming, the avoidance of knowing. Because once you know and once you claim, it's very scary, because then it puts your ego in this place of, well, I could lose this now that I've claimed it, now that I know it to be true, I have this fear of losing it, right? But that is when we're working with spirit and we're creating a reality. There's no fear of losing it. You cannot lose it because it's always yours to begin with. You're always whole to begin with. You always have it within you. So these memories of love, home, soulmate, connection, past life, it's a truth. You and your twin are one. You are one. That is your truth. Do not forget that. Bring that with you as you move through your day, when you wake up, when you drink your coffee, when you eat your breakfast, when you go to work, when you play with your kids, when you play with a dog, whatever. Like, bring that with you. Don't lose that. Because what happens is manifestations are trying to come towards us. Things are trying to come towards us. But if we're not maintaining a vibration of that truth, and we're in and out because of our head, and like back to that analogy of like a child, the kid doesn't go, oh, I don't like butterflies, or maybe I do, I don't know, do I like butterflies? Do you like butterflies? Maybe if you like butterflies, all like butterflies, right? Kids don't do that. They don't care. If you don't like a butterfly, fine, they love butterflies, you're missing out, buddy. That's their energy, right? So it's we have to maintain this frequency, and this was a message I shared kind of similarly, maintaining the frequency on TikTok a little bit ago, and it's like maintaining that frequency, because it does take a little bit more time for the 5D to come down into the 3D. And I think what happens in these twin flame connections, and truly anything you're calling in, is when you start to not see the proof, when you start to not see it show up in your 3D, you're like, it's not coming. And then you get into doubt, and then you question whether you really truly love butterflies, or whether butterflies truly love you or not. Yeah? You start to be like, maybe this butterfly doesn't love me. But you know the truth. You know this butterfly loves you. You know it, so you can't let go of that. Because if you do, like, I think of the manifestation, or the thing you're calling in, as kind of like flying above you, and it can't get to you. It can't get to you. It's like up here. Because if you're in the frequency of like, no, it literally will just hover above you, and you're kind of like pushing it. You're like pushing it away. Versus if you were in this like truth and knowing, I love butterflies, and I can't wait to see one again. I don't know when I'll see one again, but I know I will, right? Whatever, right? Then it can come. So hold that frequency. You are always at home within you. We carry our home within us. We carry our soul within us. We don't have to feel like we're away from it. Sure, sadness will come up on the journey. Sure, a longing for a place or a human will come up on the journey. It's very common. Just feel it, process it, let it go, and then remind yourself and remember you are always home. You are always home. Yeah, and then they also showed me, they gave me this image of, so if you think of your journey like this, where it's you and your twin, and you guys are working, you're working, and you got to get out of the judgment of, are they doing it? Are they doing enough? Or vice versa, if you're a masculine watching, maybe you project on your feminine sometimes, like, what is she doing? She's so lazy. She doesn't, yeah, I've spoken with some masculines, and some of their thing is like, my feminine is just kind of like lazy, like, I need them to do more. I need them to like go out in the world and produce, because that's a masculine perspective coming from a feminine perspective, and the feminine's like, I hang out in the 5D and everything comes to me, and the masculine's like, I create, I take action, I go. So anyways, whatever. Okay, so we got to release the illusion and the projection that we have of one another. So we're just living out in the world, doing our thing, and we're working and we're working and we're steadily working and we're working. And if we keep in these energies, if we keep in this frequency I'm talking about, you are going to bump up to each other, and then you keep going together. What happens, I think, is like we feel like we're working alone. We feel like we're working in a vacuum. We feel like we're having to do all the work on our own. This person isn't doing it because we don't see it. We don't see it in the 3D, the seeing is believing thing, which we got to banish. So we just get into this space of like, I don't think it's happening. But Spirit just showed it as like just this slow and steady, one foot in front of the other, one foot in front of the other. You guys keep working. You know you're moving in union. You know you're moving as a whole. And eventually you will bump into each other in the 3D. You will bump in and you will recognize that we've been working together all along. And then you just start. And it's organic. It's steady. It's slow. Yep. But you have to be maintaining this. Yeah, and the last thing I'll share is when you begin to doubt the love, when you begin to doubt your counterpart, whether you're a masculine or a feminine, if you're doubting them, you're doubting yourself, and then you actually cause them to start doubting you or the connection. So if you're in any sort of fear, if you're in any sort of worry or questioning that like, do I love butterflies? I don't know energy. If you're in that, you guys are so deeply connected and in tune, whether you're in union in the 3D, whether you haven't spoken in years, whatever your situation is, you are very, very connected. So when you are in that, you are sending that message to them. And the masculines in particular use the feminines as their light. Because the feminine leads energetically. So feminines, you do have a bit of responsibility in this position, that you need to be able to hold that. You need to be able to hold that in your truth and in your faith. And so when you start doubting, you are sending a message to them and they don't know why, especially if you're not in contact, they have no idea why, but all of a sudden they'll plummet. They'll just plummet. They'll be like, okay, I don't know why I thought this could work. This can't work. I don't, like, this just seems impossible. Like, I can't get through this. I can't face this. I can't let this karmic go. I can't blah, 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 whatever it is. Okay, so when you doubt, they doubt, and vice versa. So you must hold the love to enable the remembrance, to enable. So those memories of love are so important. You must maintain the frequency. You have to hold that frequency. You have to hold that frequency. Okay, because this ended up being so long, and I had a feeling it was going to, I'm just going to pull an angel card for us, and then I will do a reading later. So I will post a reading for us, a check-in card reading later today. But just to wrap this up and all these downloads, I'm just going to pull an angel card for us. A little bit of angel guidance with all of these sort of downloads and how to practice them. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for liking. Thank you for commenting. I'd love to know how this feels in your body. The more engagement we have on this channel, the more people get to see these messages and be helped by them. So thank you so much for that. Wow. Okay, so sensitivity, Archangel Haniel, you are extra sensitive to energies and emotions right now. Honor yourself and your feelings. Yeah, so step into the emotionality. Step into the emotionality and the trust and the faith and the heart. Connect to your twin through the heart. Connect to your life through the heart. Connect to what you want through the heart. What do you want? What do you want? Because you can have it. You just have to create that new simulation. When I get this card, I often feel too that when we're in these sensitivities, I have to say, the safest person in your reality twins to be around when you're feeling this is your twin. And I know that can feel counterintuitive because of the intensity of these relationships and the triggering. But you have to remember, when you are in your harmony with one another, by the way, relationship harmony. I'll go to this card in a second, but I just had to say that. When you are in your truth, like in your absolute truth and divinity, that is when these connections are so nourishing, so safe, so loving, because it's the one person that speaks your language, that shares the same soul song. You have the same frequency. So sensitivity is such a beautiful energy to be in. around each other. It's really, really special and magical, and there's really nothing like it. So if you're feeling this way, allow yourself to be pulled and magnetized to this person. And it's all through the heart. We got to get out of the mind. Okay, Archangel Raguel, we angels are opening the hearts of everyone involved. Arguments and conflicts are being resolved now. Relationship harmony. When I do the check-in later, I am going to check on the karmic situations, because I've been getting the download that a lot of them are disintegrating, that there's been spiritual divine intervention and they're like donezo. So this really makes me feel like it's a confirmation of that. So hard to get there. You can kind of see the angel. But there is a lot of harmony coming into these connections. So trust it, know it, feel it, stay in that frequency as much as you can. And I know it's hard, but whatever you got to do to stay, and maybe rewatch this video when you need to, when it's like, how do I do that again? How do I switch my simulation? How do I choose a new life? How do I choose a new reality? For tips and kind of like guidance on how to do that. But relationship harmony is here. Union, I mean, the unions are happening, and they can be peaceful, loving unions. They don't have to be triggering, intense, difficult unions. You just have to choose a new board. Okay, beautiful twins, I will be back later today, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Sending you so much love.